est-ce que ton équipe est efficace? Est-ce qu'elle utilise les sprint goals et les product goals? Et donc, est-ce qu'elle est efficace à atteindre ses objectifs ou à dépiler du backlog? Tu le sais, on en parle beaucoup sur la chaîne. Le sprint goal et donc le product goal sont les cœurs battants de Scrum, l'une des notions les plus importantes et pourtant souvent mal utilisées. Alors pour parler de ce sujet, on a invité Maarten Dalmijn. Maarten, on est fan de lui chez Scrum Life. L'année dernière, il a publié son premier livre Driving Value with Sprint Goals. Alors on s'est dit que si on voulait parler de ce sujet, c'était la bonne personne à inviter. Alors, prêt à découvrir l'envers du décor des sprint goals et des product goals? Installe-toi bien pour profiter de cette interview et réagis au fur et à mesure en commentaire si tu veux approfondir des choses ou si tu n'es pas d'accord par exemple. Alors l'interview est en anglais, mais tu peux activer les sous-titres dans YouTube. C'est parti.
So we are really pleased to be here with Maarten. Maarten, we love your work. You are very active on the social networks. We are obligated to mention your first book about sprint goals. I mean, it's a real book. It's not some self-published stuff. It's part of the Mycon signature series. So honestly, it's really awesome, and it's already a book that we recommend strongly. So. We are really pleased to be there with you. So I think your main line of work is more about product management, which of course includes Agile and Always. We would like to talk about the product goal. So product goal has been either relatively new. It's added in the latest version of Scrum 2020, but still there is nothing about, why the team exists, why the team has been set up, something like a product vision. And do you think that Scrum misses this kind of multi-year goal, something even bigger than product goal?
Yeah, I think it's tough to answer. So maybe let's get back to the Scrum Guide, right? The product goal is described in such a way that it's not very clear, you know what I mean? Let's be honest, like you could have a product goal which is close to a product vision. I mean, if you follow the Scrum training courses, they say you have a product vision, right? But it's not in the Scrum Guide, it's described so clear. I think the other problem is it only says one product goal, which I think is really weird, you know what I mean? Because let's be honest, if you have 10 teams, you're going to have multiple goals. That's the reality, you know what I mean? So that's the thing I don't like.
If you have only one product, if you have several teams, they should share the same product goal and product backlog.
Yes, that's how it should be, right? But let's be honest, like, let's say you have a retention issue, you know what I mean? And you want to close enterprise sales deals. You're never going to work on one thing. That's the reality. You're going to have maybe 2 or 3. And sprint goals already are kind of rigid because that's one thing. So I don't know, right? So let's be honest. And I'm also curious to hear your opinion on this. First of all, most teams, they don't use sprint goals. That's why, even if they use them, they don't use them correctly. But I think product goals, the situation is even worse. I mean, I've never joined a team where I saw a product goal. I'm really honest. Like where I saw one product goal for the product. Never. I mean, I'm curious to hear your perspective, but I've never seen it in the wild. A vision? Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm really pleased about. So of course it would be what I see in France, which is my main place of practice, and I feel like there is some real progress on how sprint goals has been used, more used and more well used over the year. Maybe it's also because of us, because we are hammering the concept since 7 years now. But I think like it's more common to see teams for which it's obvious that we should have a sprint goal, and who at least try to do something which makes sense as a sprint goal. And so I'm kind of optimistic, even if, of course, there is still a lot of teams which are often by design in a space where they They just have a set of requirements to deliver. So it's quite hard to make a true sprint goal in this context. And about the product goal, I think sometimes we find it, even if it's not called product goals, frameworks like OKR at the team level accepted that you usually have a time box with OKR, which is not mandated in the Scrum Guide. In practice, at the team level, because OKR is also at the company level, at the team level, it really looks like, okay, you have your product goal, especially that for us to make it work, to make it useful, you should have KPIs, you know, the compass that helps you. Well, this is something you talk about in your book. What is the compass?
No, so I absolutely see OKRs, absolutely see goals. So but you can call them product goals. You're absolutely right. But I don't hear people calling them the product goal. You know what I mean? And there's always more than one. Always more than one.
Do you have an idea why product goals are not time boxed in Scrum? This is the only thing which is not time boxed in Scrum. And would you recommend some time frame for a product goal, and why?
I think it also depends on what you're trying to achieve, but I do think it can help having a time box. But let's be honest, right? The sprint goals are already time boxed. So that's good. You know, I mean, in essence, all the work happens in the sprints. So the work towards the product goal is time boxed. However, you're correct. The product goal itself is not time boxed. You could work on it for 1 year and 2 years or 3 years. But what I can say is, if you're using OKRs, it is time boxed. I mean, in a way, right? So I think it can be good because basically it makes sense to say, hey, Q1, we're going to be working on this. And this is what we're trying to achieve. How can we best achieve that? And working towards that. And then at the end of the quarter, evaluating. Because it gives a sense of, this is kind of like the time horizon we have. You know what I mean? Because if you know you have a quarter to influence something, you're going to make different decisions than if you have a year or 2 years or 3 years. And especially if you want to be really innovative, I think you should have short time boxes, right? Because the thing is, if you give people a year, then they're going to do incremental improvements usually, you know what I mean? But if they know we don't have enough time, then you're going to think out of the box. So I think it can also help. Because you're saying, look, we know it's going to take a year, but we have to do it in 3 months. How can we do it? You know, those kind of conversations, they can be very valuable.
Martin, will the title of your next book will be Driving Value with Product Goals?
I mean, I covered product goals in the book, but for me, like the way I see it is, right, if you've got a goal, I mean, in my book, I could have called it Driving Value with Goals. I think the key difference is product goals are longer term. And the way I'd explain in the book is kind of like, okay, so you've got a sprint backlog item, it fits in the sprint. A product backlog item doesn't have to fit in the sprint. So a sprint goal is what fits in the sprint, and a product goal is what doesn't fit in the sprint. And that's a very simple way of explaining it, but that's honestly what I believe. Because, how do you say? It's kind of like, how do you say? Let's say you set a goal, right? I recently started going to the gym again to lose a little bit of weight. You know what I mean? You can set goals every 2 weeks, but you can also set a long-term goal of, I don't know, 10 kilos. But both are kind of similar, you know what I mean? At the end of the day.
Is there anything else you'd like to share with the Scrum Life community?
Keep making all the awesome videos and doing awesome things. I mean, I just think it's really cool that you're doing this. Doing these kind of things is a lot of hard work. People don't realize it. And I think it's done from passion. And if you enjoy Scrum Life and they changed your point of view, send them a message, let them know. Because, I think creators need that. You know what I mean? That's why they're doing it, to kind of help make a positive change. And those few messages that you get, they're extremely motivating. So please do that. If you're listening and you enjoyed this episode, let them know. Not me, I'm fine.
Merci beaucoup à Marten d'avoir participé à cette interview. Si tu veux te procurer son livre, qui est vraiment génial, n'hésite pas à utiliser notre lien d'affiliation, ça ne te coûte pas plus cher et nous, ça soutient la chaîne. Et pour te former à aller plus loin avec les Product Goals, commence par notre formation gratuite. Allez, je te dis à la semaine prochaine. Ciao!